morning. I hope everybody that listens is keeping well. I've been wanting to share my thoughts about something I've heard online. Someone was making the case that around the year 486, when the Roman pagan empire collapsed, this person was saying that an ice age settled in Europe. It was the weather, they say, that caused millions of people to exit prematurely the world because there was not enough food. Everything was covered in ice for at least 300 years, and the poor nutrition and sunlight caused lots of plagues amongst the population, and etc. This couldn't be farther from the truth. You see, I think it was Plato. I think because I also heard this. I don't have the book and citation, but someone was doing research on other matters and came across Plato saying that um, there's this religion, there's this group. It's hard to put your finger on these groups because they are constantly mutating every time. They are constantly mutating and changing the reference, the points of reference. So it's kind of difficult to pinpoint them. But you could say it's almost like a theology that goes through the ages, and these people are quite easy to pinpoint. These people, they seek to impose over everybody else's their view of the world. You see, they say also that the world, the reality is subjective. They don't believe it to be objective. They think everybody has a piece of the truth and it's valid. And there's no such thing as this concept of only one truth in which everybody can agree upon. No, they think truth, reality is subjective. And of course, their version is best, so they have to impose it over everybody else. These groups are also grifters. The thing they hate to do is work. So every decision they take is for the purpose of enriching themselves. They grow from age to age and they seek this concept of being unburdened by previous events. They seek to be unburdened by the past. So, this fixation on the year zero, in which you erase history and you start fresh. They want to be unburdened by the past because every time they enter history, it's a complete disaster. So they want to erase the past. And this is why they were making the case that it was an ice age that struck Europe after the fall or collapse of the Roman pagan empire. They're blaming the weather for their own doings. Okay, let me sip a coffee. It's hard to pinpoint them. It looks like an ontology, then it feels like a religion, then it's more of a theology, then it became politics. Nowadays it's called the left. These people are deranged. Yes, their worldview is superior to everybody else's. So they hijacked, they hijack the weak. They weaponize like messianic zealots. They turn people into messianic zealots into doing their bidding. Nowadays, you can see them gluing themselves to the pavement, creating human chains to keep traffic from going, or turning down statues of historical figures, or going into galleries and destroying art. These are the types that they weaponize. And back in the year 486, it was no different. They got into these cults from the Middle East. They were using these cults to take over, which was the beginnings of what we call Christianity. I'm not putting down any religion. No, I'm just saying that there's this group that weaponized the weak and the stupid, the ignorant, the mentally ill. They weaponized them to do their bidding. Around that year, 486, they took over, and the world went backwards for at least 300 years. Their main mission was to spread like a disease, and anyone who failed to convert was punished. Similar to what's going on nowadays. You have to, bend the knee, or else there's consequences. Now, I think this movement is being defeated a lot faster because of social media, and that's why they are desperate to police, all platforms online. People are up to speed and learning a lot faster. In the distant past, for instance, in 486, it was easy for them to take over. It was easy for them to take over around Russia 100 years ago with the Bolshevik Revolution. It was easier for them to take over, China or Cambodia or Germany. You see, it's the same types of people. Yes, they weaponize the mentally ill to do their bidding, and once they are in power, see, they hide in the shadows. They divide and conquer, and once they are in power, they get rid of the yellow or brown shirts or red shirts. They get rid of them. These are the foot soldiers that go about destroying statues and art and, you know, destroying civilization, basically. Like I said, they want to be unburdened for what has passed, meaning they don't want accountability for the things they did. They want year zero. They want to erase. These are the types who would destroy entire libraries, like the cult of that alien cult. I can't remember right now. That alien cult from the States. They used to enter libraries and rent all books that that spoke the truth about their religion. They used to rent them all and destroy them. That cult actually started losing members when the internet came about. They couldn't, delete the posts. They couldn't delete the videos. That's when they started losing, you know, uh, followers. All right, let's continue. Um, there's a nice book called The Darkening Age by Catherine Nixie. It's a must have. It will explain on detail what happened, the atrocities that they committed after the fall of the Roman Empire, and the years to come. It was around the year 800, yes, almost, some centuries later, some 3 centuries later, 3, 4 centuries later, that things started getting better. Um, they even lost the knowledge to mix, metals to produce copper and iron. They even lost the knowledge of how to do iron because it was considered everything witchcraft. Everything was considered witchcraft, and anyone who knew engineering, knew the arts, anyone who was a bit intelligent was persecuted. Yes, the world went backwards. I'm telling you, and it was when these people took over, the fanatics. So it was around the year 800 that the priests actually, and this is another book, the Gods Philosophers, around the year 800, priests started their own priests. They started, seeing the horror in the world, and it was a movement within that actually sought illumination, sought, liberation from this terror. And it was the priests, their own priests in the universities of Spain and Portugal, that started learning ancient Greek from the Arabs, or should I say, the Arabs was translating. I'm sorry, the Arabs started translating from ancient Greek They start translating into Latin the works of Plato and Aristotle. And it was the priests that started little by little incorporating these teachings. And that's when the first, what they called Renaissance happened. It was around the year 800. It was a shock, for the establishment. They had to destroy 80% of Aristotle's works. They have to. But it was impossible because the population was not accepting the dogma. After 400 years of tyranny, the world was still not accepting the dogma from the Middle East. They had to incorporate Plato philosophy and Aristotle philosophy into their dogma. Otherwise, nobody would accept it. So I suppose they had to, what's the expression, adapt, because they were feeling their downfall. They were feeling their downfall. Absolutely. So little by little, they start opening to new ideas. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in power. And they allowed what's called the Renaissance. It was around the year 800. Of course, succeeding renaissances happened until the last one around the year 1500. In the book God's Philosophers, everything is explained. So anyway, it wasn't an ice age. They are blaming the weather to hide, the past. I mean, today we still find statues underwater in lakes and rivers. It was the population, that threw those statues in so they could be witness in a near future of the glory of the existence of those peoples, because anyone who knew anything was persecuted and eliminated through struggle sessions. They were disposed of. Anyone who was, educated, anyone who knew anything about anything was disposed of because it represented a threat, to the to this system, to this group of degenerative crazy people. um, we still find statues that testify the glory of the classic pagan world today. That because the iconoclasts, like nowadays, they were running free, breaking everything, destroying buildings, temples, destroying statues, burning books, similar to what they are trying to do nowadays. It's the same group of people, yes. But they adapt through the ages. They go about different names. And right now, the World Health Organization, for instance, is full of these. These are the types who want the global citizen, so to speak. They are still the globalists that did this coup around the fall of the pagan Roman Empire are globalists, and that's when they implemented the first globalist system because they wanted everybody to be under one rule, one book, one God, and conversion was their goal. You converted or else. You know, they first started converting people by force, by coercion, by blackmailing. But that wasn't enough. They had to they had to lower the taxes to anyone who was willing to convert. This is another tactic they use, almost like the carbon tax. I mean, they are always using these, strategies to grease the wheels. Oh, come on, it isn't so bad. If you accept it, we'll lower your taxes. The ones who didn't want, still were put in concentration camps, what they called re education facilities. You see, they switched the name of concepts. These are the types who like to switch the concepts in definition of words. They might share your vocabulary, but they don't share your dictionary at all. They distort reality, you see. They distort reality. It's also known as psychosis, you know, also, close to schizophrenia. It's crazy making. It's insane being around these people. Well, right now, their goal is to save the world. They want to save the planet from climate or something like that. It's an impossible thing, you know. It's an impossible thing because the planet, the world, doesn't need to be saved. You know, it's like we're promising we're going to keep water from being wet. It's an impossible thing. I mean, you're going against the fabric of reality. The weather will change as nature sees it, you know. Luckily, we don't have control over that, although they are trying to. I mean, look at what happened in Dubai or whatever. They try to manipulate the weather and it flooded the whole place, you know. So Plato used to write, apparently, I don't know, I don't have book or citation, but I've heard this. Plato used to write about these people. They exist for a long time. They jump from era to era with a different name, a different, you know, a different agenda, and they infiltrate, and their plans are generational. Their plans are generational. It's a messianic, zealousy that they truly believe, that everybody is in the wrong and they are saviors and they are, doing the right thing. Well, in the end, they are just grifters. Yeah, grifters, mentally ill grifters. So it wasn't an ice age that hit Europe around the collapse of the Roman pagan empire. No, it was this cult, and they weaponized the Middle Eastern religions to do their bidding. They have this inclination of dehumanizing. If you're not with them, you're no longer human. For instance, if you criticize them, your criticism is considered negative thinking. You are a pessimist. That's a negative thinking. And they have the messianic, uh, they have the right, they have the power, yes, to correct you because your negative thinking is not constructive. So they have the power of God to correct you, so to speak, using all means necessary to correct you. That's what they call a struggle session or re-education. All right. Tell me what you guys think. Have a nice day.